Welcome back. Chapter 22. When I got back, the guards were already there with an open and normal door. I figure I used the opportunity before they saw you, Fate said. When he went to move through the door, I grabbed his arm. Give me a minute. He shrugged and watched as I walked over to the guards with my offering in hand. This is called compound. They use it in they use it on cars. It's not going to completely fix your ding, but it will help. I stood there, arms outstretched, with a bag for each. Fate stood off to the side, watching intently. Just when I thought they wouldn't take my gifts, they reached out a hand forward. I am truly sorry that my actions contributed to messing up your suits. They both looked over their gifts. Then they looked at each other and made sure the other guard didn't get something better. As if that wasn't adequate, they swapped, examined, and swapped back. After a long few minutes, they both looked at me. In unison, they did a single nod in acknowledgement. So we're good? Again, another nod. I wanted to smile and skip around, but I held it under control. Feeling content that I mended a bridge, I walked through the opening. It's not like I'd see them for that much longer, but I didn't want to move on knowing I'd upset the guards. I don't get it, Fate said as the doors closed behind us. What? He was staring at me as if I were a puzzle he was missing a piece to. Why they communicate with you? What's so strange about it? You're the only one. You don't think that's odd? Considering the people I've met so far, no, I don't find it that strange. I find it more unusual if they did. I looked around the parking lot of the office part. Where are we going? There. He pointed to one of the large buildings off to the side that anchored the development. That's where Maxwell works. We're going to walk into his office. Won't that tip anyone off? I looked down at the dark pants and blouse I had on. I fit perfectly. How did they do that? Not if we have an appointment. He's an accountant. We? I looked at Fate in a black suit with a crisp white shirt he wore really well. Yes, Mr. and Mrs. Clark. He walked forward and yelled back, "Come on, honey. We don't want to be late." I followed him into the elevator and pulled the collar of the blouse open a bit. It's warm in here. They need to turn the AC up a bit. I put a hand under my hair and lifted it off the back of my neck. I looked over to Fate, who seemed completely comfortable in his suit jacket. God, he looked really good in a suit, too. Too good. Did you eat or drink anything at Cupid's? No. Why do you ask? Would that have been bad? I thought back and I definitely hadn't. I would have remembered. He squinted his eyes as he looked me over. You sure? You're looking a little flustered. I'm not an idiot. I'd know if I ate something. Why? Would it have done anything to me? You didn't, so don't worry about it. The elevator door slid open and stopped the conversation. We stood by the reception, who checked us in right away and then led us down a hall into a corner office. He was obviously a very good accountant. The office was plush, the chairs, the desk, even the lamp that sat on his desk all screamed that he was raking in the cash. A minute later, Maxwell walked in and shook our hands. It's nice to meet you both. He moved around to the other side and sat behind his desk. Did you bring your paperwork? Fate handed him a pile of sheets he pulled out of a briefcase. So, Mr. and Mrs. Clark, how can I help you? Please, call us Hank and Ruth. We've been thinking on doing some financial restructuring. Ruth? Oh no, I didn't look like a Ruth. Is he crazy? I was going to have a talk to him about choosing my own aliases if this was what he was going to come up with. I watched Maxwell put on his glasses and start looking over the paperwork. I was leaning back in my chair, still dwelling on the poor choice of names, when a strange, noxious odor wafted through the air, a strange blend of skunk and spoiled eggs. Ooh, that must stink. I turned my head in different directions, trying to get a lead on where the odor was coming from, when fate reached out and squeezed my hand. I looked to Maxwell and saw fate do a single and ever so subtle nod of his head. I looked closer at him. His head was bent, and I saw what appeared to be cracks in his skin slowly appear, but he kept looking down at his paper like nothing was amiss while his skin was splitting open in front of my eyes. Fate squeezed my hand harder, and I forced my gaping jaw shut. It was just in time as Maxwell looked up briefly and smiled at us before continuing to look our numbers over. The crack in his face didn't stop, but continued to spread as I watched him. I was horrifically mesmerized as they grew larger, slowly spanning his entire face. Once they got to a certain size, yellow pus started oozing from them. "Are you okay?" Maxwell asked. I hadn't even realized he was looking at me again. I couldn't speak. I was having a hard enough time holding down the salad I'd eaten. Luckily, Fate stood up and covered for me. "Darling, are you okay? You look a bit sick." "Uh-huh," was all I managed to utter, and then Fate positioned himself in between me and oozing Maxwell. Fate grabbed my hand and then circled an arm around my waist. "I'm sorry. She's with child, and you never know when the morning sickness is going to hit. Can we just leave our documents with you?" "Of course, and congratulations. I'll call as soon as I've taken a look," Maxwell said as he came into view again. I tried to look past him as I forced a smile on my face. I think I mumbled thank you, but I wasn't sure. We walked out of the office and I could breathe again. The further we got from him, the better I was feeling. The fresh air hit me as we exited the building. I moved out of the embrace of Fate's arm as the sun hit my skin and I felt normal again. "Well?" Fate asked after we got a few parking rows away from the building. "It was, well, I'm sure you know, I wish you had given me a little warning. I have no idea what you saw or felt in there. Every one of us experiences things differently. I got nothing from him." He stood there waiting for me to tell him what I thought. Well, if what I just saw was his karma, I shuddered before I could continue. He's certainly not on the good team. How bad? With no point of reference, it's hard to say, but I hope he's amongst the worst because I hate to see anything beyond that. I breathed deep, enjoying the smell of the outdoors more than I had all week. Why did it come on like that this time, when I got nothing from him at the beach? "You were closer to him for a longer time, and perhaps," his words died off. I looked at him and I knew what he didn't want to say. I'd taken a step further away from my old life. He dug his hand in his pockets and looked down for a bit before he met my gaze. "You know, I didn't do it to be..." "I know." I broke the gaze. I did get it. This was his job. I wouldn't hold that against him, but I wasn't going to discuss it either. Not anymore anyway, because it was also my life, or had been. Fate dug out his phone and called for the doors. They appeared before us and opened up to a lawn with a sprinkler system on full blast. "Guys, I thought we were good." I received a single nod. "Then what's with this?" I didn't expect them to talk, not with the way Fate had reacted to them even pointing, but then a single word came out. "Funny." The guard on the right, the one I consider slightly more outgoing of the two, said it. It sounded like a clap of thunder when he spoke. I felt the vibration of it go straight through me like I was up front at a concert, but I understood it perfectly. "Funny?" They nodded. I just shook my head. I'm glad I can offer you a cosmic entertainment. I told you strange, Fate said from behind me. I shrugged as I walked through the door and took off in a sprint through the sprinkler. It was the office building next to us, and I could see my Honda from the lawn. Where are you going? Fate yelled from behind me as he crossed the lawn. My place to get a change of clothes, I said, heading to my car. We need to talk. You got stuff at my place. Can't it wait? I said, pausing a few feet from my car. Till when? We don't have that much time. It was true. I'd be officially resigning in less than 2 weeks. I need to make this experience count for something. If I left leaving a mass murderer behind, what was the point of it all? I needed something positive to come out of this. I had to have something positive. Okay, I'll meet you there. And that's the end of chapter 22. Stay tuned for the next chapter.